Welcome back to Attingham Park, and we are continuing with the setting up of the new yard. One of the first things I've done between videos is set up some custom feed mixes. So the first one is for our young stock or beef. That is largely hay with some grass silage, some straw, some mineral feed, some molasses and some soybeans. But yeah, a lot of hay. I've not experimented with making this mix yet, but it's kind of based on the stuff that I was sent by Quacker, who works on a cow farm in the UK. So we then have the dairy mix, which I've got set up as well. That's a mixture of grass and maize silage, grain grist and hay as minimums, and then with add-ons of beet pulp silage because we've got that, and some filtered water for some moisture. So yeah, a bit of a change for me because that's given us, it forces me to make slightly more complicated TMR mixes and based on stuff that is done in the UK. So I thought that was kind of cool, kind of interesting, and it means that the two different yards have different feed mixes, different feed requirements. At the satellite farm at Beefton, I think I called it, or something else stupid like that, we don't need maize silage, for example. We don't need beet pulp silage. We just need grass silage, hay, straw, and then the additions. And in the last video we got the straw stacked over there. You'll see that in when we go back over there. Actually, it was this video. So the end of this, I forgot to record the very end of this video. It was an ID10T error. It's one of those things with recording on a laptop. Sometimes it's hard to see whether I have started OBS or not. I generally do not record everything that I play, because, you know, as it is, I store huge amounts of video footage. So I have about 3 terabytes stored at the moment, and I don't keep very much. So yeah, recording everything would make it a much bigger problem for data management, which is something that I'm looking at with the channel with upgrades to kit. But also it would make editing more time consuming. So I generally edit as I play. So I don't, 90+% of what I record goes in a video. That's why the crashes are in there. I don't cut them out. So yeah, most of what I record makes it into a video. The only time things will get cut out is if I get funny behavior that is down to something that I've done and I don't want to show that, or if the video's got too long, I'll either time lapse bits or cut them out if they're not, you know, if they get too repetitive. If I think when I'm editing it it's too repetitive, you guys watching it will probably think the same thing. So yeah. So yeah, there's the big stack of straw. I'm just trying to think, where should I put these grass silage bales, and I think here will work. Yeah, obviously spent a fair bit of time playing the 2 videos up here, getting the feed sorted, but haven't actually really worked this yard yet to think where a good place is to put everything. But this seems about the only place I can put a stack of grass bales. I think we'll probably use the main farm still to do all of our big amounts of storage. You know, we do have a lot of space here. If I had brought over square bales or put these on the other trailer so they were vertical rather than horizontal, we could store a lot of bales here, and we may have to do that in the future. But the nice thing about the Anderson trailer is you can bring a heck of a lot of feed in one go, and it's 24 bales, and you know, the bales are, I can't remember how many thousands of litres. It's a lot more than you can move on most normal bale trailers. I imagine it would be incredibly heavy, but yeah. So I'm only going to bring the 1 trailer full over for now, because I think we'll struggle to store a lot, and I have no idea how long a trailer full is going to last. So as I said, I've set the custom mixes up, but I've yet to experiment with actually making them, so we'll see how it goes. If you feel that I'm struggling with the commentary today, this is because this is video number 2 in a recording session. I'm working to get ahead. It's Friday. This video will be going out as part of a double header on Tuesday. So I did say in some other videos that I want to try and get more Let's Play videos done, and part of that is, although I'm still going to be doing Timberport videos on a Tuesday, I'm going to try and do a farm sim video as well. So I'm trying to get ahead with recording, because that just takes the pressure and it makes it easier as well. I hate editing a video in the morning and then trying to render it and upload it to release that day. It's not fun. So yeah, and this is 2 of probably 3 videos that I'm wanting to get done today, because Kartek and I should be hitting multiplayer this afternoon, which is going to be probably fun and slightly chaotic, because it always is. I should have taken that turn. As I said in the last video, I have not explored much of Attingham, so we're going to have to do a UE in the road. Editing this video this morning kind of reminded me of Thursday's multiplayer with Paul and Rainer, where I was getting lost a lot on that new map. I can't pronounce the name of that map because it's a very German sounding word. I think it's German. Anyway, we are at the store to get some soybeans to feed the cows as part of their mix, and we're going to use the farm supply pack because that's what I always do, because it's a really cheap way of getting feed, and we didn't actually grow any soybeans this year, so seems like a cheap way to get. It's going to be a small part of the feed, so it feels okay. I thought that we could just drive past these and hit R to fill the trailer. You know, a lot of pallets have triggers. These do not. So we're going to go and grab the Crammer, because the yard is actually not that far away. You can see it on the mini-map. It's quite close to the store. So yeah, we'll have to go grab the Crammer and load these up. I'm going to get a pallet fork while I'm here, because we only have 2 bale spikes for this. Yeah, so actually I'll ask you now, because I may as well, because it's before Thursday. Someone asked in the stream, and it was something that we chatted about in the stream, of trying to multi-stream the Thursday stream. It's a mixed language stream now, because Paul generally now streams, I think, almost every day for, you know, 4 or more hours a day. He's really enjoying streaming on Twitch at the moment, apart from we had a lot of issues with Twitch last night. So because he's doing that, right, and I generally don't have the availability to be on that long on Thursday night. 2.5, 3 hours is kind of my limit. But one of the things that we spoke about was whether we should multi-stream that so that you could see my point of view as well. So if you're interested in that, comment below. I might stick something on the Discord as well, and it may have been before you saw this video, because say a few days ahead I'm getting this video recorded, and we are really struggling to pick these pallets up. I'm not sure if it's the pallets are glitching, or the ground is glitching, or the forks are glitching, or the Crammer is not strong enough. So the first thing I'm going to do is jump out of the game and download a weight for this, as was suggested before, after I spoke about getting this on Discord. So we're going to scroll across and pick up the Weefru weight. I usually use the PT30, but I thought I'd use this one. It does 1500 kilo weight. So it's the front weight, but it goes on the back of the Crammer quite nicely. So yeah, let me know what you think. I think so that we can multi-stream it, it'll probably be on Twitch. Because I don't think you can multi-stream Twitch and YouTube together. And I think what that will allow you to do is watch both points of view at the same time. So that hopefully means Paul will spend less time following me around the map trying to watch me crash. There were a few. It's quite, they both, Paul and Rainer both have quite tight yards. I don't think I crashed when I was in Rainer's yard, but there were a couple of incidents in Paul's one. So yeah, I blame all of them on the fact that the additional realism mods really tax my brain. I think the biggest one is the realistic gearbox mod, which, you know, rather than going from press W and S and shuttle direction, it's much more complicated. It feels it, particularly some of the more so in the manual tractors, and that's quite a lot of manual gearbox tractors, and I have to go into manual gearbox mode for them to work well. The CVT transmission ones are much easier, which is why I spend quite a lot of time in his rather nice big JCB. So the weight hasn't particularly helped. Now what I don't know is these pallets are about 3.5 tons because they've got 5,000 litres of soybeans in them. So they are incredibly heavy. So it could just be that. It could just be that they are so heavy that, you know, what I'm trying to do is stupid. The result says that that's probably the case. But as I said, I leave in pretty much everything I record. So there you go. So plan C at this point is to return the pallet fork and get a bucket and do it the slow way. Pretty sure we can fill a bucket from these pallets. I hope we can fill a bucket from these pallets. So yeah, bale fork, pallet forks sold, bucket brought. Now for some reason I brought the smallest bucket possible. We do have bigger buckets for front loaders installed on here, so I think I might swap it in the future. I remembered after when I was recording the commentary for the previous video on here, which was recorded before, sorry, after this game footage was recorded, so it would have been better probably to have like a 3,000 litre bucket, but we might have had the same issues with weight by the time it was full of soybeans. So yeah, but we can fill the bucket, so it's just going to take me a bit of time to well, 15 bucket loads to get all this in the trailer. Yeah, I'm just checking my note. There was a really long note written at the end of my notes for this video, but it's already something that I've spoken about. So once we've got this done, we are going to get the hay baled over at the main farm and bring that across. That hay has dried. So, and this hay is going to be a big part of the feed that we give the cows over here. With FS, it doesn't really have any more or less value than silage. You know, if you're making bales of silage, that's pretty much as much effort as making bales of hay, possibly less, depending on how you do it. But it's just what I'm doing on here. So we'll tip the soybeans in the silo that we have over here. It's really nice to see this all working, because it's the first time I've tried to use this silo since I installed it. So yeah, that was definitely a bonus that it worked. Yeah. Downloading off ModHub is not always a guarantee that things will work as intended. So get this trailer put in the shed and then check that we have everything we need over here apart from the hay, and then we'll go get the hay made. And we still don't get to the point where the cows are brought across. It's why I'm playing on half time, because I don't really want to progress another game day before we bring the cows across. So that'll be the start of the next video. I may even do it off camera, because it's just moving a lot of cows around. And it's quite a trek across the map, if I'm honest. So just checking, yep, we've got the mineral feed. That one is empty. We've got the grass silage, we've got the straw. We've got a feed mixer, and I had forgotten at this point what the mix was that I had set up. It was very fresh in my head because I literally sat and did it before I started playing this. And so just having a quick shuffle about so we can hook up to the mixer, and there we go. Yep, so we just need to check that we have molasses over here. And then once we've brought the hay over, we'll be good. We'll have everything we need to make their mix. I'm still probably going to pick up another, just checking that the molasses tanks are full, which they are. Still probably going to pick up another tractor to have over there. Not decided what it's going to be yet. There is a good chance that by the time you see this, I will have decided and recorded something. So if you've got any suggestions, stick them below. I'm still tempted by a smaller Kubota. There's a few bits of kit we need to get still for that yard. We need something for the zero grazing. So first job, get the hay windrowed. I'm just getting rid of the auto drive help from the F1 menu because it's blocking the thing that I need to tell me how to change the work mode, and I'd forgotten what key it was. It's Control Y. And what we're going to do is we're going to tip to the left. That will pull the swath away from the hedge, which is obviously pretty useful. And we're going to run 2 headlands in opposite directions, so that'll give us one big swath, and then do the up-down rows. Pretty simple, really. I found that I probably shouldn't have done that because the swaths were quite big, and it would have probably been better to combine a single 9-meter width into one swath. I mean, it's big, you know. We're pulling in not 9 meters because it's not actually a 9-meter working width, but like we're pulling in 17 meters of grass, which is a big swath. You know, it's a big swath, and it was quite easy to miss bits, as you'll see when I show you the baling, depending on how much that I actually showed, because as I said in one of the 2 videos that I've recorded this morning, I generally put in everything that I record, but I did find with this video, you know, it's 36 minutes and there was some additional footage, and rather than time-lapse it, I left it on the cutting room floor. It was only a few minutes. It was basically some extra clips of me baling and windrowing and bale collecting. But it felt like it was getting a bit repetitive, and it would have probably pushed this out to a 40+ minute video. And I'm still trying to make 30-minute videos, and I'm failing at that spectacularly. Actually, one of the last ones might have been less than 30 minutes, but yeah. But what I am trying to do now is more Let's Play videos amongst the other stuff. So I may try next week, not this week, squeezing in 2 videos on Sunday as well, so that the days where I'm doing multiplayer content or other games, there's also a normal video. And I guess the other question linked to if you would be interested in seeing my point of view in the streams with Paul and the farming agency is if I did those, I'd probably just push that stream up to YouTube and not turn it into a video. So if you wanted to rewatch it on YouTube rather than watching it on Twitch at a later date, you could. Yeah, so I'm generally going to try and up the average number of videos in a week. The actual number every week might not be more, but the average should be higher. That's the goal for this year at the moment, and that's partly driven by the fact that the view numbers have kind of dropped off a bit. I'm still hoping that that's a side effect of the break and everyone being on a Christmas break and being out of routine and stuff, but yeah, I'm not getting the 300 or 400 views a video at the moment. So, and some of that might be the content that's been done most recently, because there's been sort of 2 Timberborn videos fairly close together in terms of videos released. A video about horses, which never does well. So it might just be the content, it might be the Christmas break, but as I said in, I think, the Maypole video over the weekend, watching your analytics tank is not fun. So hopefully it will pick up, but either way, I'm going to keep doing this because it's fun. So yeah. I think that's most of the that's the end of the headland being done. So yeah, I did that kind of double headland because it's a massive swath. So I should have really pushed it into 2 swaths, I think, rather than into one. But it's always really tempting with one of these swathers that pushes to the side to make big swaths. I did it a lot on my series on Obaileron. I had a massive windrower that pushed it to one side, and I would occasionally drive around the field until I had like 1 swath or 2 swaths left. Which you think sounds like a really good idea until you try and put a baler through it. And 1, your round baler is filling up every few seconds, and B, you can't get the tractor over the swath. Yes, I know I did one and then B. It was intentional. So yeah, and I'm going to be making round bales on here for the same reason with the round bale silage, that I can move a lot more of it with the Anderson bale stacker in one go. Moving all those straw bales took a long time. So I thought I had the door go then. Yeah, so while I'm doing round bales, it does make baling more frustrating for me. But and in future we might do squares. It's entirely possible that I end up buying another field up near the beef farm and having a couple of grass fields up there so that we can produce more of our own feed up there rather than driving it across the map. Just have to move the kit across the map, but yeah, I'm not sure. I've not really looked at the other fields around that as to whether there are any really nice candidates for kind of decent sized pasture land for producing enough feed for the beef that we have. And I did talk about in the last video about maybe putting a BGA up there, which would take field space away from what we have. It might be that we need to put a few loads of manure through the BGA first to be able to make some of those changes. So we'll see. We've got 350 grand in the bank still, and we're selling milk every day. We have the I have the auto milk sale mod on here, and having chatted to people on Discord, it's probably a bit of a godsend because the dairy on Attingham is quite snug apparently, so it would be tricky to get auto drive running into there. So the only other thing we could think about doing, and I don't think it fits with the scale of the farm on here, but I'm curious as to what you think, we could put in the farm dairy and do some direct milk selling maybe. Yeah, we might do that, because the only place that I'm using that is on Furling at the moment, which is the series for the patrons, and that would be a really good time. Look at that segue to our message to say thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members for supporting the channel. Really appreciate you guys. And I have clearly been watching far too much Linus Tech Tips. If you don't know who he is, he's a small YouTuber with like 15 million subscribers who makes geeky content about computer stuff. Yeah. Sorry, very random moment that only a small fraction of you may understand. But we're finished with windrowing anyway, so that's cool. I'm frantically making notes of when I need to put things in because, as I say, this is a back-to-back recording. Normally I'll do a recording and then maybe go and do other things like finish doing work or edit the sound or whatever. Recording back-to-back I find quite challenging usually because it's like 40 minutes of talking to myself. And I've said that a couple of times in recent videos, but and again, not complaining, as Mr. CDP would say, just explaining. It's an unusual skill, and it's one that I'm still developing even after quite a long time of doing it. And some of the things that help are what I mentioned in the last Maypole video, and having talking points and things like that to chat about when I run out of random stuff to ramble about. So in fact, actually, I'm going to pick one of those up now because I am running out of random stuff to talk about. And that is one of my favorites that I see again on Facebook a lot. Facebook is a great place for content to talk about. It's not a great place to learn about farm sim, if I'm honest. The amount of misinformation I see on there is staggering because people do not understand how this game works. It's one of the reasons I started making tutorials, because I got very frustrated about people not understanding how the game works. And me, you know, I did have a period where I was active on farm sim Facebook pages, and people would say how they thought it worked, and I would say, no, you're wrong, this is how it works, and they'd say no. And having a video to post really helps with that. So the thing that, and I've mentioned it on Discord a few times, that the people who install all of the mods, now this for me comes from being a laptop player, and originally being a laptop player on a lower spec laptop, and so not having all of the mods. And it then comes from, if you use maizePlus, and if you use maizePlus in FS19, you know, one mod folder per map because of how all the scripts would interact and all that kind of thing. And your mods folder is not your downloads folder. You know, if when mods are released you want to download them all, that's fine. They do not need to be in your mods folder. And more importantly, understand what you download. I saw it when maizePlus came out, and people going, my animal feeding screen suddenly looks really different, and I don't know what, but it's broken, and I fed my cows this, and it's only, yeah, it's all broken. No, that's maizePlus. You should go and read the really long instruction manual about how it works, or at least read the mod description on ModHub. And I saw a brilliant one about the Combine Experience mod, and someone not knowing that meant their combine would behave differently, and like, my combine's broken, it won't work, I've pressed whatever and it won't move. Yeah, so slight delay there, or interruption there, because the phone rang and I needed to answer it. So seamless editing there, hopefully, and switch to how I'm doing the recording, because a bit of behind the scenes for you. When things like that happen, I usually have to very quickly hit the stop record button on the audio recording and then work out where I was in the video. And the way I tend to do that is I then do a half an edit. So I drop the audio track into the edited video and lets me see where I am. And actually it's then easier just to play from there. In the editing software that I use, as long as I'm running on my, I guess I generally always now run on my laptop to do this. When I was using the old Dell, it couldn't play back the video in the video editing software in real time particularly well. So yeah, that's a fun little story for you. But yeah, back to the thing, you know, download all the mods. By all means, download them. By all means, open the game and rate them for the mod creator. But you don't need them in your mods folder. You don't need yeah, sorry Paul, you don't need 5 gigabytes of mods most of the time. That's the multiplayer game that the farming agency guys use does have a 5 gigabyte mod folder, but most people don't need, okay, let's say 10 gigabytes of mods, whatever. My mods folders generally aren't that big. You know, it amuses and frustrates me. It frustrates me because I would like to help these people, but I often feel that, as I said, Facebook is a place full of misinformation, and someone did give them the answer. Like, you've installed the Combine Experience mod, you need to select the Combine, activate that, then select the header, activate that, and it'll work. And that comment seemed to get lost in the raft of noise of, have you unfolded the Combine? Yeah, it's like, no, he's installed a mod which changes how Combines behave, and he needs to understand that and follow the instructions. But because maybe you don't know that he's installed that mod that changes how the Combine behaves, you're guessing, and guessing doesn't ever help anyone. So back to gameplay. I have picked up a bale. As is often the way, it is a smaller bale, because, you know, that's how you start baling, isn't it? You always get a small one. This I think I was making silage bales with that baler. I was making corn silage bales with that baler before. So we're going to push that one off the back, and we're going to pick the rest up. And I'll leave that one here. We'll use it to feed the cows or sheep or whatever over here. Have got a bit of flickering going on. I clearly need to clear my shader cache again. That seems to be a much more of an issue at the moment with the current version of the game, or maybe my game drivers. I have just seen, as I was recording, that NVIDIA have released a new set of drivers, so maybe that will help. But yeah, I seem to be getting a lot more flickering in the game, and maybe need to be more routinely deleting the shader cache before I start. Might actually try that before I start recording later with Cartech, because that's Friday afternoon's job. Fun. It's not a job. So, well, sometimes he's hard work, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so we're going to go around, get these bales picked up, get them all taken over to the new yard. Someone suggest a better name than Beefton Farm, please. I think I did it because a lot of the, you know, it's like Brompton Farm and that kind of thing on here. So someone please suggest a good name for that yard, and I'll use it, as long as it's not offensive. Because YouTube have changed some of the rules about that kind of thing, and you, when people steal your stuff, you can't call them a fudging idiot anymore. Or not too often. I've not looked at all the details, but they're a lot more sensitive on swearing in videos now. So when people do annoy me, we might have to get the bleeper out. But hopefully that's going to be not too common a thing. But yeah, that flickering is really quite bad. I hadn't noticed it so much when I was playing. Sorry about that. Hopefully it doesn't trigger any of you. Yeah. Oh, and we had a nice bit of a lag spike in the playback then. Guessing that was the transition. So first load taken over. That's the small bale. We don't want to try and pick that one up. We want to get these other 7, I think it is, 6 or 7 bales. Got a pretty decent number off that field. 30 odd bales. Again, I didn't look. But yeah, between that, all the straw, the grass silage and the other bits, we should be pretty well set up there now for feeding those cows. I haven't checked. I'm not sure if you can before you put animals in, whether we need to give them water or not up there. If we do, I might get automated water plumbed in, because that's a pretty easy XML fix. And it feels like in this day and age, most farms do have that for their cow sheds. So, yeah. That threw my train of thought for some reason. There are not as many bales up here as I thought. There are 6 by the looks of it. Because that one in the distance is the small trick bale that you always get. I did think about emptying the baler and then resetting it, but it's fine. It's absolutely fine. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how this video's gone. I guess ultimately you are the judge of whether it was enjoyable or not, whether I rambled sufficiently or too much or not enough, or ignored the fact that there's a tractor driving on the screen, and everything else that goes on in the background as I ramble away. It's yeah, I guess it's a different style to a lot of farm sim videos, but it's what I do. Yeah, we're going to go take these over to the yard. And it is the transitions really kill the playback. Yeah, hopefully this will edit into something sensible. Yeah, so we're going to get these stacked now and call it a day. I say I stupidly did not record the last of the stacking. That was an ID10T issue that occurred between the reclining armchair and the laptop. But unfortunately that unit can't be replaced easily, so we'll just have to deal with the occasional mistake. It's more obvious when I'm on my desk, at my desk. But most of what I do is not done at my desk. So yeah, it's just going to be interesting tonight because I'm planning to join the multiplayer tonight with Paul and Raina, but not be at my desk. So that could be fun. We'll see. We'll see. I'm refueling the JCB while we're here. And while we go stack bales. I did wonder whether I should change how the bales are to stack them in the shed, but I actually managed to get most of them in a single line. The shed is deep enough that it will take more than a trailer full in one row. But obviously we're not using the height, but at the moment it's fine. If we end up getting some grass fields over here, we'll probably make some square bales because they're easier to stack. And we've got a square baler back at the yard, so that'll be fine. These are quite heavy. They are quite heavy. I end up putting the weight on the back. I don't know whether I include that in this video. As I say, there was a bit of an editing faff. Or not editing, recording. And that faff was someone forgot to hit record when they should have. Which is, that's all on me. But yeah, we got in. So these are 180 centimetre bales, so they're 9,000 litres a piece. Hopefully that's going to work out in the mix. I have said in the past that it's not always best to create the biggest bale possible with maizePlus, but that's what I did because sometimes I'm dumb. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I did pick the way up. This makes it much better. The bales seem to stick to each other ever so slightly. There's a bit of resistance on that first lift, which is probably realistic. I'm not sure how Giants have created it, but it does feel like there's a little bit of residual grab there until they break away. There we go. Yeah, I say probably fairly realistic. Anyway, because of the bit of editing and the lag that I've had in the playback, I am going to say at this point, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, click the like button. Comments, questions, suggestions, new farmyard names below, and if you're not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And there may be a little bit of the video left at the end of this, so please keep watching, and I'll see you next time on Attingham Park.
Something I can never be without, yeah. I'm in your command. Thought I was a man of my own, but it's been 2 years. I'm only a shadow of the good on me now. The breeze in my ear, 'cause you know I cannot say no to you. Feeling like home, but should it be like this? Locked up in your dome, you know I fight for you. What do I